Welcome back to Pondering Parenthood podcast, a podcast all about pondering parenthood. I am your host, Mike, here with my co-host,
Megan.
And on today's episode, we are going to talk about our travels to Mexico.
Traveling with kids. Well, with a kid. We didn't want to have to deal with naps, so we had Mouse stay with Mike's Aunt Michelle.
Shout out, Aunt Michelle, thank you.
Guest of episode 2, Michelle Haar. So she got to watch our little mouse, and that way
Not just her, but the whole family.
Yeah.
Uncle Doug.
It was a joint effort.
All my cousins.
But that way we just, we didn't have to worry about what time we went to bed and leaving the beach in the middle of the day to get a nap in. So it was the right decision, but we did miss her.
It was also from a cost perspective, bringing a kid that wasn't going to remember the trip really at all, and the added cost for the flight and everything like that seemed kind of silly. And also it was kind of nice for Snuz to have some focused time for the first time really since Mouse has been born.
Yeah.
So we're going to go through what that travel was like, and I'll just kind of be up front here. We were really fortunate because we didn't really encounter all that many issues with traveling.
No, it was actually one of the smoothest travel experiences we've had together, I think.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So where do you want to start?
Well, so yeah, again, we've known about this trip for a long time, and Snuz is 5, so this was going to be her first flight. That was a big deal. I think one of the things that helped was you and I checked in before we went, we checked in with each other before we went, and I kind of I laid the groundwork of this is her first experience in the airport. If we can do anything to mitigate stress levels and just have it be the most calm experience that we can make it, so that she's actually able to enjoy it and that we're not putting all that anxiety on her. So I think that was a good conversation, just laying that out at the forefront.
Well, you also said, I think, something that was really important, just that all couples should remember.
Oh, yeah, that we're on the same team.
We're on the same team.
Even when we're traveling, we're on the same team. And so, because we've had experiences in the past traveling where it's been dicey.
Well, I'm an amazing traveler. I don't experience any anxiety at all while traveling, whereas you are an absolute nightmare.
No, it is the opposite.
It is the opposite. Yeah, no, I'm a terrible traveler. I'm super stressed about everything.
Which
My
is hard
anxiety
because you love to travel, so you want to travel a lot. But then when we're in the middle of it, it's why?
I love being in a place that is different than where I currently am. I don't love the process of getting to and from these places.
Yes.
Yeah, I probably don't like. But yeah, I mean, you really it was very clear that you were gonna handle Snuz and I was just gonna kind of handle everything else. Yeah. Which I think in general is a really good setup for us because you just have way more patience.
In the airport, you mean?
Yes, correct. Yeah. In the actual traveling, not when we were in Mexico, right. But in the actual traveling phases of this, it was basically I make sure that we are moving forward.
Yeah.
And you are just handling anything having to do with Snuz, and that works really well for us because I'm really good at the whole where are we going, setting things up, making the planning, and all that kind of stuff. But you obviously are way more patient and way more understanding. You're not as impacted by the idea that we're holding up a line of people and things like that, whereas that's something that really bothers me. So you do a much better job of handling her in those sort of instances.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it went really well. The other thing that I was very aware of leading up to it, and I think all kids benefit from this, but in any situation where something's going to be stressful or new, like sitting your kid down and being like, this is happening in the next few days, and this is what it's going to look like, this is what it's going to sound like. Mommy and Daddy are going to be a little bit extra stressed when we're in the airport. There's going to be a lot going on, and I don't know if it was you or me, but the mantra was kind of, anytime Mommy or Daddy ask you to do something when we're in the airport, we just got to say, okay. And if you have questions, like, we'll save those till we're through security.
Yeah, like, Snuz, I don't think this is like, I think this is something that a lot of kids do. Like, Snuz asks 1,000 questions. Like, she's so curious, and so she wants to know what's going on in her world, and so she's just constantly asking questions, and, like, you answer that question, and answer that question then leads to, like, the creation of 3 other answers, or 3 other questions, and if you don't answer the question in a way that she understands it, she, like, needs to understand more.
Yeah.
And so you can just end up in a situation where it's like, we are now going in these roundabout question and answer phases that are, like, pretty annoying. And so we made
very curious kid.
Yeah, we made it really clear to her that, like, in the airport, we can't answer questions for you.
Yeah.
Well,
it was like, when we get there,
right, we have to get through security. Once we get through security,
to follow our directions, and then once we're sitting at our gate, you can ask all the questions you want. And that, I think, was very helpful for all of us to just lay that out ahead of time, and for her to have some context of what was coming.
Yeah.
So, highly recommend for
lots of prep.
Yeah, lots of prep when you're, especially for their first time traveling.
Just as an aside, really cool moment as a parent to, like, the first time I flew, I was 17 years old. I didn't really go on vacations as a kid. Like, we didn't have the money for that. So it was really cool as a parent to be able to do something with my 5-year-old that, like, I never got to do. It was my first time in Mexico, too, and I know Mexico's a pretty big, like, tourist spot for many Americans. So, like, it was kind of cool to be able to go and do something with my kid that my parents were never able to do with me.
Yeah.
Like, my kid will be able to say that she was on a plane at 5. Like, that's...
Yeah, I was trying to think
pretty cool.
Back to when my first flight was, and I think I was a teenager. I think I was a teenager as well. So just the idea that she's 5 and going on a plane for the first time was pretty cool.
Yeah. It's like we're able to, like, do things that, like, maybe, like, we didn't necessarily have, which is kind of cool.
It's cool.
All right, so we probably don't need to talk about, like, driving down, because that was, I mean, we've done that drive. It's a 6-hour drive. We've done it many, many times.
Yeah, but I will talk about, for both the drive and for the flight, another big part of preparation that I felt very, like, this was something that excited me to take responsibility for, was, like, curating their travel bags. So every time we go on a really long trip, I put together, they each have their own mini backpack, and I just fill it with, like, tons of little activities or toys, sensory toys, art supplies, things like that, books, where they will at least be occupied for a while just going through it. And so I made those both for both of them for the car ride, but then Snez also had a much bigger one for the airplane.
And just for Mexico in general.
Yeah. So
I really appreciate that you do that, because I would not do that. That
was very fun to me. And something that kind of inspired it was Snez was coming home every day with at least 3 or 4 coloring pages that were just partially done. And by partially, I mean, like, 10% colored in. And I was, like, recycling these day in and day out and just being like, why do they keep giving her these pages? Like, they should, like, hold them at school till they're done or whatever. But I totally get that, because I was a teacher as well. But I started saving all those unfinished pages and just, like, paper clipping them together. And so I basically made, like, a little coloring book for her to finish. She ended up not really getting to that part, but I like put that together and then printed a bunch of like color by number and I don't know, different 5-year-old activities, like paper activities. So that actually that kept her busy for a good portion of the first flight. There are these drawing tablets you can get now. And it just has one button, and the button erases whatever your drawing you did.
It's like a blank screen, like it's like
It's
black,
all black.
it's dark, and as you draw on it, it's like the rainbow It's almost like the
The
black
scratch.
scratch offs that you get that are rainbow colored, but it's like a digital screen. But there's nothing else on it. It's not like an electronic tablet or anything. It's literally just for drawing. And like Snuzz and Mouse each have one now, and they love it. It's like one of their favorite things to play with.
So great for traveling because they just can reset it and draw a new picture. And there's one other switch they can flip on, and that'll save the picture so that if you hit the erase button, it doesn't erase. But those were she'd spend a lot of time on those as well.
Yeah.
So just like curating a little activity bag so that she had stuff to do, and then another good portion of the flight she spent listening to Taylor Swift, as she says, Taylor Swift, through my headphones. So, but the airplane ride went so well. She did so great. She was so excited. She was asking so many questions. She would not stop talking. You read like the whole time on your Kindle. I was in the middle, so I kind of took on all those questions.
I was an absent father for that.
You were an absent father on the plane.
That's how I roll. So let's just like highlights of getting through security and the plane. So we got to the airport, and she just like followed along like a little duck, and then we got to security. And so like it's important to note that like Snuzz is, as my family likes to say, is a country mouse. Like, she is not used to big crowds. She is not used to lots of noise. Like, she's a country bumpkin. Like, she's just like a little, she's used to like the slow pace of rural living.
We live in rural Vermont where nothing's going on. And
you also, like, airports are not exactly like a place where you feel the most comfortable.
No, not at all.
And so one of the issues that we always run into in airports, in any airport, is like all airports seem to have different rules around like liquids coming out or electronics coming out and things like that. And it depends on the day. Like, some days in an airport it could be, today we're taking electronics out, some days not. So like that's always a little bit of a stress for me. But we ended up getting through the line through security pretty quickly, and we get to the security and we ended up splitting up. You ended up on one line because one was taking a long time. Yeah. And I ended up on another one. I ended up on the one that was taking a long time.
They were just putting people wherever the line was shorter, obviously.
And so we start like unloading things and putting things in the bin, and Snuzz just goes, "Okay, everything is happening right now."
Okay, everything is happening.
Yeah. And so like that was like a little bit chaotic, but then ended up like we got through fine. She didn't really ask too many questions at that time. She just like kind of went along with it, which was really, really nice.
Yeah.
And then we just like hung out at the gate for a while. There wasn't really anything there. And then when we got into the plane, we were sitting there, she kept talking about like, when are we going to blast off?
Oh yeah. She kept asking when the plane would blast off.
Which I thought was really funny.
'Cause it really does take so long.
Yeah.
From the time you're sitting to actually taking off flight-wise.
Yeah.
So she was patiently waiting for a while.
Yeah. And then I think the plane ride was fine. We didn't really have any issues. She did get a little bit upset as we were landing because her ear started to pop a little bit. She started to experience. But the only thing I remember from the plane ride, besides the fact that she wouldn't stop talking, was that she definitely was loud. Like, she would be talking, and she'd be talking kind of loudly. And we'd have to be like, okay, like, let's just lower our voices a little bit. But airplanes are so loud that...
Yeah, I don't think she was loud enough to be, like, disturbing people.
No. And I don't think she was aware that she was being loud.
No, it's just like, there's like a...
Yeah, there's like noise. A background noise, yeah. But she loved looking out the window, and then she would, like, open the window and close the window. Yeah. That was another thing we had to kind of be like, all right, like, let's just keep it closed now.
She's like, it's so bright!
She had a great time.
She had a great
and
time.
we didn't, either there or back, we didn't end up having to do any screen time at all, which is kind of amazing.
No. She did, definitely the way back, she listened to a lot of Taylor Swift.
A lot more music,
yeah. Which was just cute to see her wearing my, like, big headphones.
Enormous headphones.
Yeah.
With, like, sound dampening, so she was, like, singing so loudly.
That was when she was singing very loudly. We had to be like, stop, like, quiet down.
And so, like, we were up at probably, like, 7 in the morning. Our flight was, I think, 10:30. Oh, so we also ran into, I mean, this had nothing to do with traveling with a toddler or a kid. But we happened to leave the weekend that an enormous blizzard hit the New York area, New Jersey area. I think New Jersey ended up getting like 30 inches of snow. So we left at 10:30 that morning, and I believe by like 2 or 3 in the afternoon, all flights were grounded. So we got out just as like all the flights in that area were grounded. And we also happened to go to Mexico the weekend when that cartel leader was murdered. And so we got in probably like 7 or 8 hours before all flights were grounded coming in and out of Cancun. So we like just got into Mexico.
We squeaked by.
Just squeaked by.
Well, another note on that. So with the cartel leader getting assassinated, we were flying in and Snuz goes, "Oh, look, it's a train." And I look down and there's like this billowing black smoke in an area. And I'm like, "I don't think that's a train, honey." And she's like, No, like, remember the Polar Express? Like, it's definitely a train. And I just didn't think much of it. And then like later on reading all the news about people just lighting vans on fire, like to block roads and everything. I was like, oh, that's probably what that was. Yeah. Which was a little disturbing. So our first night there.
Well, so before we get there.
Yeah.
So we landed, and then we were supposed to have travel from the airport to our resort that we were staying at. And I mean, like, it was a long day. Like, we didn't land and get to the shuttle until, like, 3 or 4. And it was hot. And at that point, like, we ran into some issues with, like, oh, they didn't have our reservation number and all this stuff. And so, like, we ended up having to stand out in the sun for a while. And that was when Snuz finally, like, had a bit of a meltdown. It wasn't even that bad.
I wouldn't even say it was a meltdown. She just kept being like, I'm so hot.
Yeah, she had the tiniest little bit of like, she
was getting hot and tired and hungry and
but it's more to say that like we went hours of travel being stuck in a plane, like this whole thing, and like it wasn't until then that she started to have like any kind of negative reaction, which I think is pretty impressive for a 5-year-old.
Very impressive.
I think we got very, very lucky with that, because it could have easily gone in a different direction.
Yeah, and books are her saving grace. So like any little moment, I just grabbed the Magic School Bus books. I had a bunch of those, and we just started reading them, and she'd like calm down, and then the book would end, and she'd just be like, "I'm so hot." We would just pull out another book.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. Needed lots of books on hand.
Yeah, so we did end up getting a shuttle. We got to the resort, and we had to check in, and she was, like, really good around that. And she, like, dealt with disappointment really well because we got to the hotel at such a time where we were, like, definitely not going to be able to swim.
Yeah, a good portion of the flight, she just kept saying, when I get to Mexico, I'm just going to run to the ocean. So she had this in her mind that we were going to get there and she was immediately going to go swimming, which
we ended up not being able to do. But yeah, so traveling there, like, overall, easy peasy.
Couldn't have asked for a better little travel companion.
For real.
She did great.
She did really well.
Very proud of her.
All right, so we're going to break down the days, because we're at a resort. The days are all pretty much the same. We were really fortunate that the room that we were in was a legitimate, like, 1-bedroom suite. So, like, Snuz slept on the couch in the living room area, but we had our own separate room.
Yeah.
So we were able to still have a,
still felt like a vacation.
Romantic couples vacation, even though we had the kid with us. But basically, we would wake up in the morning, we'd go down to breakfast. Snuzz lets us sleep, which is really great. And, like, again, kudos to Megan for having those little travel packs.
Oh, puzzles. That was another thing. I brought 2 puzzles so that in the morning she could, like, wake up and do some puzzles.
Do you remember the first few mornings she didn't turn the light on, so she was just, like, laying on the couch in the dark?
She didn't know where the light switch was.
I don't think she thought she could turn it on, was the thing. So, she's such a good kid.
She's too good.
So we would do breakfast, and then we would, she liked to go in the pool first thing. Mm-hmm. So we kind of traded off with that. Like, there was one morning where you kind of watched her in the pool, and then there was another morning when I watched her in the pool. But I think by, like, the third day, she was kind of done with the pool, because the pool was so cold.
Yeah.
She really didn't love that. And we had these, like sort of, like, beach beds reserved for us.
Bali beds.
So we would also kind of trade off with, like, running around in the water with her.
Yeah, well, and also we were very fortunate. This was a big family trip, so my parents were with us. So my mom really
Shout out to Lynn Dempsey, who basically hung out with Snuzz in the ocean entire week.
She was the one running around in the sand with her, just, like, having a grand old time.
And I'll be honest, I don't know who had more fun. I don't know if Snuzz had more fun or if Lynn did.
Yeah.
I think Lynn had a great time.
They're little buddies.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. We have to tell about Rocky.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
So, there was one day where it was almost like a spongy looking rock. Like, it was very light and it had holes in it and everything. It had come in from the ocean, and Snuzz, like, picked it up and was playing with it, and then she'd toss it back into the ocean. And then it would come back, and she'd run to get it, and she'd toss it back into the ocean. And this was how Snuzz spent, like, at least 3 hours, like, playing in the ocean with this rock. And it was just so cute. She just became very attached to this rock. And my mom actually even ended up saving it for her, thinking that it would be a big deal that, like, when she couldn't find it anymore. But we got to the end of the day, and she was like, I think my mom had actually picked it up, and she's like, well, I'll hold on to it. And Snuzz was like, no, Rocky needs to go back in the ocean now.
Yeah.
But then a few days later, she did ask where Rocky was. But it was just this beautiful moment of watching her. She was just fully present and obsessed with this rock.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty impressive to see Snuzz. I mean, Snuzz is a relatively independent kiddo anyways. Like, she can keep herself entertained for pretty long lengths of time, but, like, she was very content to just, like, lay in the sand and just, like, roll around in the sand for a while.
Yep.
And then, like, she would go looking for shells with your mom. Mm-hmm. And then she'd, like, come back and, like, need some attention. But, like, for the most part, she was, like, pretty well entertained.
Yeah. Yeah, the ocean was her entertainment.
There was one moment where... So the way the ocean was where we were at, it was, like... It went out probably, like... I don't know, like 10 to 15 feet, and then there was just, like, a sudden drop. And it dropped, like, probably, like, a foot and a half down, and then, like, went out gradually as the sand under the ocean does. And I had told Snuzz about this. I had told your mom knew about it, and they were playing around in the ocean. I was laying on the bed reading, and I'm kind of like reading and watching, and I look up, and Snuzz is playing, and the wave comes in, and then all of a sudden Snuzz is gone.
Oh, God.
And your mom, of course, immediately, like, sees this, and she, like, tries to get over, but she's in the water walking around, and there were a lot of big rocks under there, so, like, it was hard to move around in there. And I'm like, the minute Snuzz's head goes underwater, I'm just, like, in the water.
That's awesome.
And it was like good to know that, like, yeah, like, the dad reflex.
Yeah,
you know.
I was on a walk, so I wasn't even there.
Yeah, you were really just letting her die. Yeah. I mean, she wasn't in any real danger. I mean, her head went under and then she popped right back up. Yeah. So there's, like, not anything serious that happened, but, like, it was like I was, like, there probably within like a second and a half of her going under the water.
Nice.
And she like handled that really well too. She kind of like sputtered a bit, and she was like, "Okay, I'm done with the ocean now," and like, but she didn't really cry. Like she was just kind of like, "All right, like that wasn't really fun.
Yeah.
I didn't like that," and so yeah, you and I just kind of traded off taking care of her, but like really, your mom took care of her.
My mom did a good portion of it at the beach, because I would even go over and assume like, okay, it'll be my turn to like,
yeah.
But my mom just loved hanging out with her. So
no, I'm good.
All right, I'll go back and read.
Yeah.
It was great.
One thing, so like we ended up so yeah, we'd go do lunch somewhere on the beach, and then we always like came up to shower at the end of the day. And one thing I will say is that like little kids just don't care about sand.
No.
She was gross.
Sand was...
It was everywhere.
Everywhere, in every crevice.
She'd be like, "I don't want to shower." And I'd be like, "Then don't sit in the sand." Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like.
And thankfully we had one of those giant showers with like the detachable shower heads. I could
Okay.
really spray her off.
The shower had two, like almost like two separate
There were two
rooms.
showers.
Yeah, it was
Two
really
shower
nice.
rooms.
And very oddly, so I mean, I don't know, this may be TMI for the podcast, but like, it's like it pretty recent, like within like the last like 6 to 8 months, Snuz has been, we're like a pretty open family. We're naked, like it's not a big deal. But like pretty recently, Snuz has been like not interested in seeing me naked. She's like made it pretty clear that like that doesn't make her super comfortable. And so I've tried to honor that. But very oddly, because at Aunt Michelle's house she wanted this, because she didn't want to go in the shower at Aunt Michelle's house because she was scared of the stinging soap.
Oh, yeah.
And so she was like, "Daddy, come in with me." And I was like, "Are you sure? Like, I'm going to be naked?" And she's like, "No, just come in with me." And then you were like, "Well, I can go in with you." And she was like, "No, I want Dad." And I was like, "Okay." So then, like, in Mexico, like, I had to also then be showering. And so we ended up all just showering together.
We had family showers because there were 2 of them, basically.
Which was kind of nice.
It was nice.
Yeah,
We just, like, all took a shower. And then we had, like, our downtime, which was it was just such a great, like, family-oriented schedule. We spent the entire day outside in the sun, at the beach or in the water, and then had a good maybe hour to hour and a half where we would go up, shower, and then Snuz would basically have some quiet, well, not really quiet time. She'd get, that
Some
was when she
time,
watched
yeah.
TV, and for some reason, it was just always Peppa Pig.
Yeah, which we had never watched beforehand. She loved.
The channel that we had access to for kids was Peppa Pig, like 24/7. So she got really into Peppa Pig. And she just got to chill, and then we had some downtime. We could like read books or whatever. Yep. There was a little balcony you'd go out on sometimes, but it was nice because family vacation, like it gave us like a little reset before dinner, and yeah, it was perfect.
Yeah, and then Snuz was really great through the night. Like we'd end up being up relatively late, and she just kind of went with the flow. There was one night where she just like wanted to go to bed. She made it very clear that which she never really does, but she's like, "I like need to go to bed."
Well, I think you were putting her to bed, and she's like, "Thank you, Dad."
Yeah. And then I had to come back out because I needed something, and she was like, "Oh no." But she handled it like a champ. I would say like everything was great, and even with this, like everything was great the entire time. But like, I think by day 3, it was like pretty clear that like the lack of routine, or like the fact that we were not, like, she even at one point said like, "When do we go back home?" Like,
she missed Mouse a lot too.
Yeah, like,
she would bring her up quite a bit.
I think it was like the lack of routine, or like the lack of the routine that she was familiar with, like kind of grinding on her a little bit.
Yeah, I also just think she was so tired. Like, she's a kid who doesn't nap anymore, like at all. She doesn't nap at school either, and for how much sun we were getting, and she was super active. Like, she's running around in the ocean. We really needed that like hour to 2 hours where she just got to veg on the couch.
Just to veg, yeah.
But like, she really didn't probably get enough sleep.
We did a water park.
Oh yeah.
The water park was really cool.
That was so
She
fun.
had a really good time at the water park. She got to go down on some tubes and some slides. And even with that, like, she did a really good job. There were many times where we had to be like, please wait, like, you need to be patient across the entire vacation. And she, like, always, she, like, understood. She always got it. At the water park, we were like, we'll do this thing after lunch. And then the thing ended up being closed. And she handled that disappointment really well.
Oh, the water park day was the first day where she ended up falling asleep. She got sunscreen in her eye.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And then, so that was, like, all tearing up, and she was
super
in a
uncomfortable
lot of pain. Yeah. And we were at lunch, and you know, she isn't the type of kid who would let me, like, actually try to rinse it out. So she was just, like, crying to me, and I had her lay on my lap, and she, like, passed out.
Yeah. She claimed that she did not go to sleep.
Yeah, it was probably, like, 20 minutes, though. I feel like she was on my
Yeah.
lap. And yeah, when she woke up, she was very adamant that she had never fallen asleep.
Yeah.
But it just shows how tired she was. But she was a true trooper, and I think she had a fantastic time.
Do you feel like we were equal in our care for her?
Yes.
In terms of during the day? Like, do you feel like you... Because, like, I felt a little bit guilty by the end of the trip that I felt like I had gotten quite a bit of time to, like, sit and read.
Yeah, well, I think we also have different priorities. So, like, I wanted the time to lay around and read and, like, relax, but I also just loved watching how much fun she was having. Mm-hmm. So there were lots of times where I was just kind of, like, laying around watching her.
Yeah.
Because it's really cool to see the experience through their eyes. So I really enjoyed that kind of stuff, and I liked going over and playing with her. And
I, like, was pretty involved at the water park. Like, I was with her for the entire time at the water park.
Yeah, you did, like, all the rides with her too. There was one of the last days we were on the Bali beds, and I just played a bunch of Uno with her. Yeah. And yeah, you kept being like, "Are you sure? Like, I can take over." I'm like, "No, it's fun."
I did feel like, I probably wasn't as hands-on with her. Because I mean, like, I wanted to sit and read. I also, like, work has been kind of nuts, and so I was looking forward to, like, having some time to just veg.
Yeah, you got a ton of reading.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time reading.
But I did too. I probably got through half of the book, maybe 3/4 of the book that I brought.
But you thought it was pretty equal.
Yeah, totally.
That's good.
Yeah, and I feel like overall it was a good mix of us time, family time. There was one night where my mom stayed in the hotel room and watched Snuz and her cousin, so that
we got to hang out with Sean and Kayla. We got to hang out
with my brother and his wife, so that was really nice.
All right, let's talk about food.
Yeah, I think this was the biggest hardship of traveling with a 5-year-old, or our 5-year-old. Maybe not all 5-year-olds are like this, but the food was hard. The
food was a challenge. It was also like
the food was good.
The food was very good.
We loved the food.
So, like, we are in our household, we have 3 nights that are treat nights, and we decided to do this a while ago. I think we've been doing it for a long time now, probably like a year or something like that. And I think at some point one of us saw it on Instagram, or, like, we follow a couple of, like, child psychologists, and it was just, we were dealing with a situation where our kid was, like, asking every night, "Is tonight a treat night? Is tonight a treat night?" And we knew we had known this for a while, that we weren't going to be the kinds of parents who, and no judgment, but for us, we never wanted to be the kind of parents who, like, that a treat was stipulated on how much food was eaten at dinner time.
Yeah.
And so we decided that we were going to have, like, certain nights that were treat nights, and they get treats whether they eat dinner or not. Like, the treats are not incumbent upon dinner. Like, these are treat nights, but that other nights are not treat nights. So we do Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday are treat nights.
Yep.
Other nights are not. On occasion, they might get a treat on a night that's not a treat night.
And that's also just because in our house we don't consistently have ice cream or cookie. Like, we just don't have that in the house unless
a ton of sweets.
We intentionally go out and, like, oh, that would be really fun tonight or whatever.
Like many
some
times,
households just always have that, and that's like used, like, the kids are used to that. But, like, sometimes she would be asking and like, no, we literally don't have anything. Like,
Like,
stop asking.
Their treats are most often just like little chocolate chips because we have a bag of chocolate chips in the house.
That's true. We do always have those. So
that's
if we
what their treats are.
Yeah, if we don't have something, that's what they get.
So having said that, Snuz, like, and I don't know if this is normal or not. To me, it feels like it's not normal, but she's like obsessed.
It's a little excessive
with chocolate and treats.
Yeah. So she was asking all of the time, every night, and this was kind of our way of like, okay, now you know when you're getting one.
Right. So I say all of that because our child had chocolate at every single meal. Like, literally, breakfast, lunch, dinner.
On the vacation.
The entire time we were on vacation.
Yeah.
And probably, again, by like the third day, I could tell that it was not having a very positive impact on her life. Like, she would like breakfast would be like pancakes with chocolate, or actually like it was like almost always pancakes with chocolate.
Because the menu said pancakes with chocolate chips, but it was just pancakes with chocolate sauce on it.
Yep.
And she loves pancakes, so that was one way we knew we were going to get food in her.
Yep. And then there was always dessert at lunch of some kind.
Ice cream, yeah.
Ice cream, or there was one day where she got chocolate cake and then got ice cream afterwards because we had told her she'd get ice cream, but there was no ice cream at the buffet that day.
Yep.
And then there was always dessert at dinner.
Yeah.
And then, like, if there wasn't dessert that she liked, she would, like, kind of have a meltdown.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, like, you know, like, we would try and find children's options. Like, there often was a children's menu, but she, like, wouldn't necessarily be happy with what was on the children's menu.
Well, I think that was what was so annoying about the first night, was we ordered her mac and cheese, and she loves mac and cheese. But because it wasn't Kraft or Annie's mac and cheese...
Yeah, she, like, decided she didn't want it.
She's like, no, this is not okay.
And then it was, like, a matter of, like, trying to find something she would eat, or seeing if they, would make something special, and it was, like, a very frustrating thing. The other thing, too, is, like, we are very much a household where it's like, no, this is what's for dinner. Like, oh, you don't want it? Then you must not be hungry.
Yeah.
But then there's, like, you know, running up against, oh, well, what about this, and what about this? And it's kind of like, all right, no, well, now we're playing this game.
Well, and we find often the case with her, like, as soon as you give more than, like, 2 options, you're just then in this negotiation mode where then she's like, well, actually, I want this. And it's like, no, I'm no longer negotiating with you. It's this or this. Like, we have to, like, set a more firm boundary with her, because that's when she'll make a choice.
Yeah. So food was definitely...
The dinners were the hardest, because the lunches, there was always, like, a buffet place, but the dinners... Some nights we would have a specific restaurant we were going to with specific types of food. And honestly, it's like, in my mind, you know, she eats so much. If she eats so much throughout the day, then, like, I know she's probably going to be fine for dinner, even if she doesn't eat that much.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was frustrating.
So yeah, the food was definitely not easy. I think the last 2 days, all she ate for lunch and dinner were chicken nuggets.
Yeah.
That was, like, pretty constant on the children's menu where we went. So she had chicken nuggets. There was definitely one day where she had chicken nuggets for lunch, and then chicken nuggets again for dinner.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we would love to hear from anyone, any of our listeners, if you have tips or tricks for dealing with picky eaters or anything along those lines. What do you do? Write us, please, because
and
we're in that phase with her. She used to eat everything.
And when we say everything, like, literally, I mean, we cook a diversity of food.
Yeah.
With, like, a diversity of spices. And she would eat it without any issue. But over the last, like, 2 years...
And I will say she's still good about trying stuff. Like, we will ask her, like, at least try this new food, and she will usually try or put something in her mouth.
And recently she's tried it and been like, oh, I like this.
Yeah, but part of that is, like, she says it to make us happy, and then she doesn't actually eat it.
Yeah, maybe that's true. Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, I couldn't believe... Like, I mean, I like chocolate too, but if I have chocolate in the middle of the day, I'm not trying to eat chocolate later that day. And the kid just could not get enough chocolate.
Kids don't care.
Yeah, I guess.
The other thing is, if you think about how much energy she's expending throughout the day.
Sure.
Like, her sugar intake is nothing compared to our sugar intake because she's just like burning it off constantly. Whereas like adults, we're just sitting around on our Bali beds.
And we're,
drinking
and
margaritas.
drinking, sugary drinks, right? Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Anything else with food? I feel like that.
Yeah, no, I would just love to hear from people who have picky eaters. I want more info on that. And does it end? When does it end?
Yeah. I think that covers the vacation. I said it at the beginning, I'll say it now. Like, we are fully aware of how lucky we were. I mean, it could have gone differently. Like,
literally just the fact that we didn't have any delays. Everything went very smoothly.
I'm specifically talking about traveling with a child.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that, like, she didn't really melt down at all. Like, the worst thing we had to deal with was the fact that on occasion when she was listening to Taylor Swift that she was, like, singing kind of too loudly.
She just wanted to belt it out.
Like, that was the worst of it. So, really fortunate in that regard. I don't know if we would have been in the same boat if we had Mouse. I feel like Mouse would have
1,000% not.
She would have been running up and down the airplane.
Yeah, there were multiple times where we kept looking at each other and just being like, can you imagine having Mouse with us? Like, same on the beach. Like, that kid would just...
She'd be dead. She would be dead.
She would just start trying to swim. And
So I think we're up to lows and glows.
Lows and glows.
Do you want to go first?
Sure. I'll start. Do you want to start with a low?
Start with whatever you want.
I actually keep notes here. Yeah. One of my lows is that Miss Mouse has just been kind of going through a lot of sickness lately. And so before the vacation, she was sick with like a pretty bad cold and cough, and then she had seen me. It's like we thought she was pretty much all better and had been okay for maybe a couple days, and then on our way down to Michelle's house, she started coughing.
Like literally on the drive down.
Like the cough just kept getting worse and worse. It's a 6-hour drive, so it was like, oh, this sounds.
Oh, that's an interesting cough, and then by the end it was like, oh, you have a cough now.
So then she was sick, like. That whole time we were gone.
And then got Aunt Michelle sick.
But no fever?
No
fever. Then we got back. And we...
Seemed to be doing a little bit better.
Yeah, she seemed like she was on the upswing. We sent her back to school. She got sent home with a fever. And then she was feverish for... That happened on a Friday, so she was feverish for
36 hours?
Yeah. 2 days, and then was... seemingly better again.
Yep.
And then just tonight, which I think we're in the clear now, but tonight she was like, my tummy hurts. And then it ended up that she just needed to get a bunch of diarrhea out. But I was like,
and everything seems fine now.
Is that the start of a stomach bug?
Yeah.
But it seems like we're good.
All right. Glow. I really love playing games with them. Mm-hmm. And like even Mouse.
It's very funny.
Like I was playing Guess Who with Mouse the other day.
Guess Who?
And she can't play Guess Who, obviously. But it's just like both of them. It's playing games with them. It's just a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For reference, Mouse is 2.
Yeah.
So
can't play Guess Who.
She's not ready for Guess Who. But.
Snuzz can play Guess Who.
Yeah, Snuzz is really good at Guess Who.
But really, I really enjoy. It's a huge glow.
My glow is the current level of imagination that's happening in Snuzz's brain. You can just really tell her, she's like classic 5-year-old. She'll tell me like a whole story with her stuffed animals and what's happening. And like this morning she was saying how her blanket was capturing the worm in her room, and she was showing me what that meant and how it was happening and how then you'd release it because you'd touch a button on the blanket. Like it was just this whole thing that she'd clearly been doing for like an hour before we got up or whatever. And I found this beautiful tea set, and I brought it home, and they were pretending with the tea set, and just watching them like fully dive into pretend mode is so fun, so exciting. So that's my glow.
Another glow is...
But you haven't done a low yet.
Do I have to do lows?
I don't know, actually.
Yeah.
We usually do an equal amount of each, but
I guess you can.
You can.
I'm
It's
gonna do
your
whatever I want. I'm gonna do whatever I want.
It's your podcast.
Producer.
You do whatever you want.
I'm gonna do whatever I want.
Fine.
Actually,
you're usually heavy on the lows, so I'm kind of...
No, I'm usually heavy on the glows.
I'm very proud of you.
I'm usually heavy on the glows. In fact, I'm thoughtful about being heavy on the glows because I want to try and practice gratitude.
Aww.
Snuz is really into science.
Yes.
So she's got these, like, are they National Geographic books?
Yes, another thing I brought to Mexico is this huge National Geographic book about ocean life.
So she's got one on ocean life, she's got one on space, and then she's got another one about animals?
Book of Why.
Big Book of Why.
Yeah, it's just a ton of questions.
And so, like, we had a whole conversation a couple weeks ago about like her being a scientist, and she's like, I really think I want to be a scientist about animals. And then she's like, but like space, I really love space. And then she's like, but also like the human body is really great.
Really?
Yeah. And she's
awesome.
she's really into the Magic School Bus.
Yes.
We listen to them, we read it, we watch it, and then she'll come out with all of these facts about things that she read about, and she's so curious about it. I just think it's like pretty awesome.
I love it.
It's pretty awesome.
I think it was the same conversation where she's like, I think I'm going to be a scientist. We were reading the page about sea turtles and how sea turtles will often get caught in, nets that were meant for other animals or whatever that they're trying to catch, or just traps. Anyway, she's like, well, maybe I could create like a spray that you put on those so that it like will smell bad to the turtles, but like other things could get in. And we were just like, well, that's how a scientist thinks.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, I think I want to be a scientist.
Yeah, I think I really like being a scientist.
It's really awesome.
You got anything else?
I have another low and another glow because I do it equally.
Yeah, okay.
My other low is that I just feel like we're always gonna be in a phase of wiping butts.
Oh my gosh.
And it doesn't matter how old they will be.
So done with wiping butts.
Snez is fully potty trained, obviously, like no issues there, but she still needs help wiping poop. And to be fair, she's actually pretty good at it, but I still always have to check. So I'm just still always wiping butts. And then, of course, Mouse is not potty trained yet. It's on the horizon. And not good at
wiping her butt.
No, but...
She's really bad at it, actually.
There's just so much poop in my life, and I don't appreciate it. Yeah. The other night, they all pooped at the same time.
All of us pooped
at the same time. Pooped at the same time.
Yeah, we had a family poop. We're synced up.
It was so weird.
I might catch some flack for this, but a low that I have is that I think Snuz is kind of weak. She's soft. Snuz is just a little soft.
She's so sweet.
She just cries about everything.
Oh, yeah. She's a very sensitive kid.
She's just really soft.
Okay.
And I might catch some flack for that, and that's okay. I'll take that flack. I just wish she was made of tougher stuff sometimes.
Yeah, well, you also...
She just cries about everything.
You and she are not the most compatible.
Or exactly the same person. But I'm made of tougher stuff.
Yeah, but you don't know when to stop poking the bear.
Well, if she was made of tougher stuff, it wouldn't matter so much.
No, you need to stop.
She's soft, and I don't like it.
It sometimes feels like I have 2 5-year-olds in the house.
Well, it's funny because sometimes
bickering.
I feel like...
And it's like, Dude.
I have 2 5-year-olds in the house.
You're the 34-year-old man.
I'm 37.
Whatever you are. See, that's even worse. You're 37. You need to be the one to stop.
You know what? You're soft too, alright? Go ahead.
Alright, last glow is... There was a little phase where Mouse was starting to say, like, I'm not Mouse. And then she'd say her actual name, which, like, is good. You know, she should know that she's not really a mouse.
Oh, is that a good thing?
It is a good thing. But she'd get kind of sassy about it, and I'd be, like, kind of sad that this phase was ending. But recently, we'll be reading books, and if there's a mouse in it, she, like, gets so excited. And
She's like, oh, it's me!
She points to it, and she goes, that's me! Which I don't know if it's good or bad, but it's a glow.
It's really cute.
I freaking love it.
I've got another low. This is for both of them, and it's kind of something we've already discussed. But I do all the cooking in our house, and I gotta tell you, there are a few things worse than like having spent the 45 minutes to an hour and a half cooking, and you put the food down, and both kids, without even looking at it, go, oh, I don't like that.
Yep.
It's like a kick right in the nads.
Yep.
Really hate it.
It goes right back into all that picky eating. Like,
It's
please
just the worst.
help us, listeners. If you have suggestions, help us.
It's the worst. It really, I mean, it's, and like it triggers me immediately. I go from like being like, everything is fine to I'm going to tear things apart immediately.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not good.
All right. Couples Corner?
Couples Corner. We're officially naming it. That is
Couples
what
Corner.
it is. Yep.
All right. So for the last few weeks, work's been kind of rough, and it's just been busy, and I've realized that like I haven't really been in a really good regulated space for several weeks, really. And I had pushed off therapy because I had been very busy with work, and like I finally had a therapy appointment, which was super helpful. I also like checked off a couple of work boxes. But one of the things that like has been sort of a through line in all of that, and something that like I forget and then remember, and once I remember I'm like, all right, this is like a superpower, is the idea that like you and your partner are on the same team.
Aww.
And it's really easy when you're not regulated, or when like things start to, like things get busy, maybe everyone's not doing, as much as they have, or it's really easy to start getting into a space of like feeling like, well, I'm doing more than this person is, and you start to like build up this resentment, and then that resentment really starts to like eat away at the relationship. But if you're on the same team, and you remember that you're on the same team, then it's not like, well, I'm doing more than this person. It's like we are all working for the greater good, which is, like keeping this machine moving.
Yeah.
And I think there are so many times, and this is not like my thinking, like I think the Gottmans talk about this, like it's like very zeitgeisty now to be like, oh, we're on the same team and all that. But like, it really is like, I think, for me at least, anytime there's any like division or fighting or anything, it can all be broken down to like, oh, we're not really playing, we're on the same team. We're kind of like fighting against each other here. And I think that the more I keep that in my mind, because if you think about like a team, like teammates don't blame each other for things. Because if you start blaming your teammate for something, then like you're not going to work together, right? You're going to lose the trust. And if you lose the trust, you can't work together. You can't be successful, right? So like teammates don't blame each other, right? Teammates don't look at each other and say, like, look, I'm doing everything, you're doing nothing, I need more, like the way you communicate with a teammate is very different than the way you might communicate with an enemy. So like if you do find like a teammate is not really holding up their end of the bargain, then you approach a teammate out of a place of curiosity. Like, hey, what's going on? How come, I feel like there's, like, I'm doing a lot of this stuff over here. You're not really doing as much as you normally do. Like, what's going on? Like, the way you approach a teammate is very different than the way you might approach an enemy. And so, even if you do feel like your partner isn't really doing as much as they should be, if you view them as a teammate, the way you might approach that conversation is different than if you're not on the same team. And so I really feel like that concept of, like, we're on the same team is, like, if you can maintain that way of thinking, at least for me, if I can maintain that way of thinking, most of the problems that have come up in our relationship just don't come up.
Talk to me more about the blame. Blame as part of that. Because that's an interesting example to bring up.
Well, look, I don't think... So, okay, so this is going to go into a whole different thing. But, like...
What was it? It was an interesting example.
So, okay, so like, well, let's separate the two things.
Okay.
For a second. So, like, if somebody does something wrong, it is okay to say you've done something wrong here.
Uh-huh.
I believe that.
Yeah.
That's not blame to me. That's just, like, accountability.
Okay.
And I think it's important when somebody does something wrong to own it.
Versus, this is your fault. Right? That would be more blame.
I suppose so, yeah. But, like, if something happens because somebody does something inappropriate or does something incorrectly or whatever, then, like, it's important that is... Because, okay, so here's how I think you and I handle things differently and why I think it's, from my perspective, problematic. Like, the other day, the Tupperware was stacked up in such a way where when I pulled a drawer out, all the Tupperware came flying out and something broke and shattered, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, the way you look at that is like, oh, wow, here's this thing that happened. What a bummer.
Yeah.
But it happened because the Tupperware was not stacked correctly. And the Tupperware was not stacked correctly because...
Because I didn't stack it.
Because you didn't stack it correctly. And now there's broken glass everywhere. A giant Tupperware broke that we use that is now no longer used by... In fact, I went looking for it the other day and was like, oh, that's right, it's broken.
Yeah.
And so my perspective is like, look at what you did. You did something wrong. Mm-hmm. And the way you look at it is like, oh, here is this thing that was completely and totally out of control that nobody could have foreseen happening. And my thinking is like, no, here is a thing that had it been done correctly wouldn't have happened that way. And so my way of thinking leads to changes in behavior from my perspective. Because it's like, here is a thing that happened. It didn't have to happen that way. It should be done differently in the future. Whereas yours is like, there's nothing we can do differently in the future to avoid these things from happening because they just happen. But hold on. Because you are very much like, why am I being blamed for something? But my perspective is like, if we don't own up to the mistakes we make, if accountability isn't there, then our behaviors don't change. And, like, the results that have occurred will just continuously occur. And that is I have a problem with that.
Right.
But from my perspective, so like, taking that as an example, if we are on the same team, the way to approach this would be like, like, that is a thing that happened that shouldn't have happened. Who was the one who stacked this Tupperware? And then, like, you say, oh, I stacked the Tupperware.
Like, why do we think this happened?
Right. And it's like, oh, we stacked the Tupperware. Okay, so then next time, can we try and be aware of when we're stacking the Tupperware that it's more stable, that it's not in the way? Which would, I think, hey, you made a mistake. There needs to be some accountability. Let's make some changes in the future.
Yeah.
And I think that that's, like, how a teammate should do it. The way I handled it was, what happened? Why did you do this? Which is not the way a teammate should handle a situation. But I still think, underlying all of that is like, I still think it is okay to look at your partner and say, hey, you kind of screwed up here. We need to do things a little bit differently. Like, how can we make things better for the future? Whereas I think your perspective is like, no one screwed up. This is just a magical thing that happened. There's nothing we can do differently.
Let me respond. I think there is a way to approach the situation with certain language that could then lead to like, oh yeah, like let me be more aware of an action that can prevent this from happening again. But sometimes it's presented in a way where it's like, you did this to harm me in some way, which to your point is not a teammate.
It's not a teammate thing.
But that's how the information often gets presented.
It comes across that way.
You're like, when these situations pop up, it's usually like a moment, right?
Yeah.
So like you're dysregulated.
Triggered, dysregulated, yeah.
So it's like how do we make that happen even when there's dysregulation and...
Right, so this is a perfect example of like forgetting that you're a teammate. Because in those moments when you're triggered, you're living in your amygdala. You're in fight or flight, and I'm always fight.
Yeah.
And
I'm...
in your flight.
I'm like flight or freeze.
Right,
like,
fight or freeze.
I never fight.
And so...
It's the opposite.
In those moments, I forget that we're on the same team. And my perspective is, you created this thing that has now made my life more difficult.
Right. Or there's a lot of times language like, you never, or you always.
Yes.
Like, there's not a lot of room for like, oh wait, there have actually been a lot of times that we have moved forward from certain things.
Right.
But
now, so, and that's all true. And so, like, in that moment, what I should have done is I probably should have walked away, let you clean it up, and then I should have come back and I should have said, it's very frustrating to me that glass is constantly getting broken. And to be fair, like, there's also, like, a long-standing...
There's a lot of history of
glass breaking in our home.
Being broken.
And it's often broken by you.
Now, my one defense...
No, wait. We're not going to... See, this is... You're going to defend, right?
No,
You're not... There's not any...
I will own that... Because I have made changes, actually. And
you have.
I don't know if you're aware of this, but every glass now...
Yeah, sits outside the sink.
outside the sink, and it dries on the other dish rack, because we have found that our regular dish rack, the glasses can often fall off where the cups go. And also, if the dish rack gets overpiled, something can easily fall onto the glass area.
Right.
Or the cup area. So... I have made the change where I now move it to the other side, and we haven't had glasses break.
That's true.
Since I've done that.
And you specifically have asked me not to put glasses in the sink when they're dirty. Yeah.
So that is a change. So I will own that the glass breaking has pretty much always fallen at my hands.
Yeah.
The only thing I will say about that is I also am the only one who does the dishes. So, it makes sense that you wouldn't have as many broken glasses under your name because you don't actually handle the dishes in the sink.
I don't want to get in the weeds too much, but I don't want to get in the weeds too much, but like the reason the glasses break is because when you unload things from the dishwasher,
yes,
or from the dish rack, you're not paying attention. Like that's what it's.
Yeah, I also let the dish rack get very overpiled.
Right, so like you'll have glasses hanging off the edge, and then you'll empty out the center of the dish rack. Right. Okay, so you'll own that, right?
Yes.
Okay. So the way I should have handled the Tupperware situation is to have walked away and then come back, and I could have said, look, this was an accident. Nobody meant to do this. It is very frustrating to me that glass is always breaking in our home. I need you to be more thoughtful about when you're putting things away, that they're stable, that they're not in the way of things, that way we don't have this. And you probably would have said, yes, I will do that. I'm sorry that happened. And then we would have moved on from it, and it wouldn't have been a thing. Mm-hmm. And that would, I think, be the way, like, I should have supported you in that moment of, like, hey, this is frustrating to me. I'm not super happy with the way this is going on. This is what I need from you in order to, like, have things move further in a successful way. And your response to that probably would have been like, yeah, that makes total sense. I'm sorry. And then we would have moved on from it. It would have been fine.
Yeah.
But, so there are two things here, like, that is, I think, how teammates talk to each other. And it's important to remember that, like, in those moments, you're not fighting me. You're not purposely, precariously placing the Tupperware so it shatters.
Or
like, makes my life difficult. And so, like, as a teammate, I need to be more thoughtful in those moments. At the same time, I do think teammates need to kind of call each other out and keep each other accountable for things.
Right. Like, you can have accountability without it being a blame.
But
charge.
and hopefully you'll own this. No matter how I approach you with accountability, you take it exceptionally personally, and it often is very difficult for us to move forward when there's any kind of accountability needed.
Yes, which I'm working on.
Because you again, the Tupperware fell, and your perspective on that is like, no one could have seen this happen. We just need to. It's an unfortunate accident. We just need to move forward with our lives.
Perspective.
Would you agree? Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
My perspective is also like, this isn't that big of a deal. We'll clean up the glass. If we need another Tupperware, we'll buy another Tupperware. And that's inconvenient. It sucks, but like, oh well. That's where my perspective is very different than yours.
But part of you,
like, my go-to is like, oh, but this isn't that big of a deal.
You think almost everything is not a big deal.
That's
true. That's how you exist in the world.
Yes.
Like, it could be a massive deal, and you're kind of like, oh, it's not a big deal.
It's a really glorious way to live.
So my point, though, is that, like...
everything is fine.
My point is, like, it's very difficult. You're, like, defense. Like, the minute... So, like, it can be very difficult, whether it's, like, said in a nice way, a supportive way, whatever. I could say, I love you. I think you're the greatest human on the planet. There is this one teensy-weensy little thing that kind of bugs me. And all you'll hear is, he hates me.
Uh-huh.
He hates everything about me.
Yep.
I don't even do anything wrong. Why is he telling me he hates me?
Yeah.
Right. So, like, it can be difficult no matter how the language is presented. Anytime there's an accountability piece.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, even if you you say everything correctly or, like, in a very regulated space and...
Because you don't necessarily see me as a teammate in those moments. Because you're triggered and you see me as an enemy.
Yeah, that's right.
You don't see me as like, oh, here's my teammate coming to me, saying that I need this, that they need this from me. That maybe I'm kind of dropping the ball in some capacity, no pun intended. Because, teammates, balls, basketball.
Oh, Travis Kelce.
Yeah, that's football, but yeah. Here's my teammate saying they need something from me. Maybe I need to, like, take a moment to think about this so I can then give my teammate what they need.
Totally.
So now we're full circle here, because, like, we're talking about how maybe I've not been a teammate in moments, but even when I come to you as a teammate and say, look, this is what I need from you, you get defensive and maybe don't see me as a teammate in those moments.
Yes. Yeah.
I
mean, we both have things to work on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you're not perfect.
Some more than others. No, I'm just kidding.
Classic. So, just to kind of close this couple's corner.
Please send us Tupperware.
We need Tupperware.
We need a nice, big, rectangular glass Tupperware.
If, as much as possible, I find remembering that you're on the same team, that you have a teammate in life, I find that to be a really great way to kind of work through some of the more difficult things.
Yeah. And that's how we started our vacation, to bring it more full circle.
That is how we started our vacation.
We said, let's just remember.
You said.
I said.
We're on the same team.
Because I'm awesome. I said, we're on the same team.
And
let's remember that.
Channeled that energy through the entire vacation.
You did. And it was a really great vacation.
We had 0 travel problems between you and me. No issues came up at all.
That's true. That's actually that's a big accomplishment.
Because I remember that we're on the same team.
Yeah. And Snez just crushed it.
She crushed it.
She's on our team too.
Subscribe on all of the socials. Where can they find us?
Also follow on Spotify, and if you could share it with anyone you think might be interested, get them to follow too. You can find us on Instagram at Pondering Parenthood Pod, and you can email us at ponderingparenthoodpodcast@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you.
Yeah, and make sure to check those socials for things like Q&As or that kind of stuff. We're trying to drop some bonus episodes.
If you have ideas for content that you'd like to have in a bonus episode,
we'd love to do a couple more bonus Q&As. I think that those are fun. People like those.
We are probably going to be closing out our first season, though, in April, May time. Probably in May. May will probably be the end of our first season.
Wow.
Yeah, because we started in June. So.
And just like to cap off this episode, maybe, you know, tell us about a time that you focused on being a teammate, or a time where maybe thinking of your partner as a teammate would have been helpful for you. We'd love to hear that.
We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah. All right. Bye.
Bye.